I'm Tony Perry, and we're here today talking with Keith Kilby, who's a candidate for Morgan County Road Superintendent. What are your short-term goals if you are indeed elected Road Superintendent of Morgan County?
Well, back as I'd said earlier, I want to renew those relationships between the taxpayers of Morgan County and the road department, and also the relationship between the road superintendent and other elected officials.
What's some of your long-term goals you got in mind?
The long-term goal is I think any road department, the number one issue is safety. Safety comes first. 24 years ago when my opponent was elected, since then the population has grown tremendously. And with that population growing tremendously, traffic flow increases. When the traffic flow increases, there's a bigger possibility and higher possibilities of wrecks and even fatalities in those wrecks. As on this road right here, if you had two vehicles passing right now and neither one of them could slow down or whatever, I mean, it's like this all over the county, and someone has to have a direction and a plan to set out and say, hey, we're going to have to widen some of these narrow roads, we're going to have to straighten some of these dangerous curves. And doing that, you still got to stay within your budget. You either have to manage in such a way to say, hey, we're going to do this road this year, that road next year, however you do that, by not being a burden to the taxpayers at the same time.
Where does the revenue come from to support the Morgan County Road Department?
Well, there's 5 different avenues, Tony, that the road department receives their funding from. The biggest being the gasoline tax. Every time you pull up the pump, there's a little sticker there that says 21.4 cents state gasoline tax. A portion of that is allotted to the county highway departments. 50% of that allotment is distributed evenly between 95 counties in Tennessee. After that, the remaining money is distributed by our county depending on our county's population and area, broken down by 25% each. The second avenue is state aid money. The third avenue, county property tax. The fourth, mineral tax. And the fifth, bridge and culvert funds.
What are some of the state and federal grant monies that may be available to the road department here?
Well, I had to go back to the last statement I made. Those things that I mentioned are kind of what you would consider automatic. They're labeled as grants, but they're automatic. And when I say automatic is they're offered to any county in the state. It's not something that you just have to beg and plead for, so to speak. The grants that I would talk about reaching would be due to safety issues where they've been bad wrecks, and you've got that data and you say, hey, there's been so many wrecks on this road, there's been so many fatalities on this road, and reach out to something that's not going to be any burden to the taxpayers.
I've heard about a lawsuit and other problems that have arisen out of the Morgan County Road Department under the current superintendent. Didn't an elderly lady in Coalfield have issues with the road department a while back?
Yeah, it's been a few years back. This lady had flooding problems on her property, and she actually lived on a place where it was hard to pull in and out, and it was kind of a blind little knot, I guess, so to speak, what you would call it. And she had worked with the road department on trying to come up with a solution on fixing her problem, but yet being safe to others too as they traveled through the road that she lived on. And it was pretty a bad situation. The public relations when that situation arose were, in my opinion, very poor. This lady is known in her community to be a fine person, and I don't think it was handled in a good manner.
So how would you have handled that differently?
Well, Tony, I always believe that you treat others as you want to be treated yourself, and I've worked around a lot of people, worked for a lot of people, had a lot of men working under me, you know, and seen a lot of situations that could have got, you know, maybe bad feelings between that person. And I think that you sit down and you come up with a solution in a sensible and kind manner, and I think that's how things need to be done, not only as road superintendent, but just in our lives in general.
Keith, I have one more question I want to ask you. If I'm a voter in Morgan County and I'm getting ready to go to the polls to vote for the road superintendent, why Keith Kilby?
Tony, I love Morgan County. I've lived here all my life. I go on a trip and I'm gone 2 days and I'm wanting to be back. My family's here, all my family's here, my wife and my children, and you know, it'd be a good way that I can provide for my family, but not only provide for my family, but provide a service to the people of Morgan County in a kind, respectful manner, and reach out and see problems that's coming if we don't have a direction and plan in place for our road department. And I humbly ask the people for their vote.
All right, fair enough. I understand that you got your family here today. Why don't we have them come in? Come on in. Hi.
Hi, how are
Hi
you?
there. Fine, how you doing?
Good.
And so this is your beautiful, beautiful family, some beautiful children here. You're Paula.
Yes.
And how long have you two been married?
Almost 10 years.
Well, you know him pretty well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about him?
Keith is a wonderful husband. He's a great Christian father to our 2 small children. He helps me take care of the kids. He spends quality time with our children. Our children adore him, especially our little girl. She is a daddy's girl. Keith is a very likable person. He's so kind to people. He never meets a stranger. Keith enjoys doing excavating. He loves it. He loves building roads and working on dozers and track hoes. He takes great pride in what he does, and he does a good job, and he's qualified to do this job. Keith would never ask somebody to do a job that he wouldn't do himself. He loves Morgan County, and he wants to be the road superintendent. So we really would appreciate your vote on August the 5th to elect Keith Kilby. We appreciate your time, and may God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Vote Kilby, August 5th. Morgan County deserves a man with integrity, who is willing to listen and understands that as an elected official, it's important to listen. You deserve someone who has a vision for Morgan County. Keith Kilby is that man. Keith believes that lawsuits and bringing about financial burdens to Morgan County citizens should be a thing of the past. On August 5th, vote Keith Kilby for your road superintendent. The time is right.